What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you another Tokyo Ghoul discussion / Fury video. It has been a while since I made one of these videos, and I felt like it was time because we're on the edge of finding out maybe if Kaneki has a full Kakuja or not, and also we'll get to see its form for the first time in a very long time. And so I feel like this is the perfect time to kind of talk about this, because there's been a couple of Chibits for the past couple weeks been mentioning snake symbolism, and they've been asking me to kind of dive into this and talk about it, so I decided to finally sit down, piece all the different information, snake symbolism and stuff together, and make a video discussing this all in one video. So, snake symbolism, and the possibility of Kaneki having a snake Kakuja, a snake type looking Kakuja. That's the main focus of this video. And so, let's talk about where this all began. A long time ago, in part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul, Ishida did illustration of Kaneki holding a lizard. Now, you're probably thinking, what does this really mean? Well, it had a lot of meaning at the time if you look deep into it. Jason, the person that tortured Kaneki in part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul, his name is linked to a gecko, a lizard. And the name of Jason's torturer, the person that tortured Jason and made him who he was, and then got Jason to start cracking his fingers, and also he eventually came around to being able to torture people and turn Kaneki into what he was, white-haired Kaneki, that his torturer, Jason's torturer, was also, his name was related to a lizard. So, right there you have two similarities between this. You had it to where Jason was linked to a lizard, like a gecko, and then the name of the torturer that tortured Jason, his name was linked to a lizard. And this is very interesting, because in the illustration Ishida did a long time ago in part 1 of Tokyo Ghoul, Kaneki was holding a lizard. I'll have it probably on the screen, you can see it for yourself. And this has a lot of meaning. For one, Kaneki pretty much overcoming his torturers. For instance, Jason, at the time. That's around the time I think this illustration popped up. And it kind of means a lot to where Jason, the lizard, was captured by Kaneki. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so what does this mean? Why does this matter to this, very point? Like, why should we care about this part in part 2 of Tokyo Ghoul? Well, there's reasons for us to look into this now, because there's been repeated patterns of Ishida constantly using snakes in recent chapters. For instance, I want to show on the screen, there'll probably be pictures here to show you, but in the past, there was a point to where Kaneki was fighting the white suits, Naki's crew. And these white suits that Heise Sasuke was fighting, there was a point to where there's a panel in that fight that was symbolizing as Kaneki being the snake and the white suits being the lizard. Because there is a panel, I'll have it on screen, you can see it for yourself, but it's a very interesting panel, because it kind of goes along with that illustration Ishida did a long time ago. For instance, what Ishida was trying to let us know is that when Kaneki was holding the lizard in that illustration, it was actually a snake biting a lizard. And that's what that panel shows. So, what does this mean? The main reason why Eto was able to do some crazy shit with her Kagane, and what she actually said that you need imagination. And your imagination gives form to your Kagane. You can do different things. And because of what happened to Kaneki when he was being tortured by Jason with the centipede, that's why his Kakuja eventually turned into a centipede. Now, with the recent events of the series, especially with certain panels hinting at snake symbolism, biblical references, which I'll bring up that one actually next. The biblical references. This has been mentioned, and I've covered this quite in depth already, but I wanted to kind of briefly go over it, refresh everybody's mind for you can kind of remember. There was a point to where Eto was being viewed upon as the serpent, the devil. For instance, offering Eve an apple, the forbidden fruit. And a serpent, in this case, is being looked as if it was evil, or just, trying to corrupt someone, and that's what Eto is trying to do, trying to give knowledge to this person, Eve. Now, the main thing about this is that Eto was used to be symbolized as a snake at this point in time of Tokyo Ghoul Part 2. And there was a couple of panels later on. There is a panel to where Eto is tormenting Karen, and you see snake, like a snake pattern in the background. If you look very closely, just look very closely, you see that pattern in the background there, where Eto's sitting in the chair, and you see, Karen just hunched over. If you look in the background, you see, like, snake pattern. Like, it's snakes just all together and slithering around. And this is a pattern that was used very soon after the part where Eto is being symbolized as the serpent, the devil, offering forbidden fruit. So that was very interesting. Another point in time of Tokyo Ghoul using snake symbolism, but this time it wasn't on Kaneki, but it was on Eto. Now, let's continue on with the symbolism. Right after that panel, you have it to where Karen actually starts hissing. If you look very closely, look at the bottom left panel, or the bottom left of this picture, you see it to where Karen, her mouth has been completely sewn up, and so has the eyes. You see it to where there's hiss sounds. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Which, it right there kind of goes along with the snake pattern in the previous page. Literally, these two pictures I'm showing you, that I've just showed you, are back to back, one after each other. So yeah. That right there is a hard evidence that there's some snake symbolism going on. But let's continue on. The next thing to look at is the panel to when Kaneki finally transforms. He transforms into his non-dreaming self. The Kaneki that remembers all. Remembers what he's experienced and remembers how his mother truly is. Now, this panel I'm showing you, look very closely to the patterns on Kaneki's skin. If you look closely, you see once again snake-like patterns. If you go back, you can pause the video, go back to the previous picture I showed you with Eto, and the patterns are very, very similar. It looks like a snake curling around on Kaneki's face. It like scales. Now, the next thing to look at is in the recent chapter, chapter 72 of Tokyo Ghoul, and this is what caused many people to start talking about this, and this is why I've started to make a Fury video / discussion on it, is if you look in the background of this picture right here, look behind him, you will see once again a snake-type looking appearance. You see scales in the back behind him, and if you look on his shoulder blade as well, you see some form of scales. So, once again showing that maybe Kaneki is being symbolized as the snake, but also his Kakuja might take the form of a snake. Now, there's more to this than that alone. There's more to his Kakuja being a snake-like appearance. Now, here's the main stuff I want to talk about, which nobody has discussed, which it's really surprising. So, I'm going to mention this now, and this is my take on this entire snake symbolism that Kaneki is currently getting in Part 2 of Tokyo Ghoul. Shedding skin. First things first. When a snake sheds skin, it becomes brand new. It's like a new set of skin. It's like it's became younger, or it has a new life. It's been like rejuvenated. And when I see this snake symbolism constantly around Kaneki, it makes me think of one thing. Rebirth, rejuvenation, another chance, and becoming a new person. And that is exactly what I think this means. Look at the main focus of Kaneki right now. His main focus is to die in style. And in a way, when a snake sheds its skin, it's like it's dying, but then it's being reborn. Amongst the shedding of its old skin, it becomes something brand new. And that is what Kaneki most likely is doing. In a sense, maybe Kaneki will die in style, but not in the sense that we all think. Maybe not in the physical sense, but in the mental, psychological sense. For instance, he will shed his old beliefs, he will shed what he believes in at this time, and he will become something new, brand new, someone that can actually protect himself, and then he can protect others. He will learn his lesson, and he will become someone brand new, someone that he's never been. And that's what I believe that the snake symbolism is trying to imply, that Kaneki is about to change and become a brand new person, take a new turn in his life. Now, that is what I believe the snake symbolism is. Regardless of his Kakuja most likely being a snake, I believe showing this constant symbolism might be because of rebirth. Kaneki getting a new shot at life. Now, there's one last thing I want to mention, which Chibi mentioned this in the comments, so I'm just going to say right here, I don't know necessarily if it goes with the symbolism, but I'm throwing it in here because a couple of Chibi mentioned it, and so I want to talk about it. So, in the final panel of the latest chapter, chapter 73 of Tokyo Ghoul, you see a point to where Kaneki gets his legs completely chopped off by Arima, and then Arima says, like, stop playing around. Well, this is very interesting in a way, because amongst all this snake symbolism that's been going on, for instance, you know, with reptiles, and then, you know, what's going on with the previous chapter with Kaneki looking like he has, like, a snake pattern behind him and stuff, and then on his shoulder blade, his legs get chopped off. And you're probably wondering, what does this mean? Like, how does this link with snakes at all? Well, snakes don't have legs. Think about that. Snakes don't have legs. Kaneki currently doesn't have legs. Now, I'm not saying Kaneki's going to be legless for the rest of his life, because obviously he's going to reattach them or regrow them back, but in a way, this might give room for Kaneki to transform into his full Kakuja state, which this might be what Arima is trying to imply. Stop messing around, stop playing around, and that means that Kaneki will use his full power, his Kakuja, and that will give link to him transforming into a serpent-like look. So, maybe his legs being chopped off is implying that he now is pretty much a serpent, he has no legs, and now he has to transform, but I'm just throwing it out there because a couple of Chibits mentioned it, and I did want to talk about it, so there you go on that. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.